I'm going to start with peer-to-peer fundraising, which I think is a nice transition from talking about diversifying our business so that we are making money from a variety of types of events. So these are just some overall highlights on the business side. So we have an 18% increase in donations through September. We've actually had 3 months where we've raised over $7 million in donations. And that's very impressive because if you're kind of looking at the numbers from last year and the years before, we've only ever hit over $7 million in September, which is historically our biggest month for fundraising donation dollars. But we passed that in 3 different months. And then we hit our all-time high of 13.9 million in September. These are the top 5 peer-to-peer events that we have, just strictly in terms of online donations. So it's not even considering like the registration dollars that these events bring in. And obviously that's quite high with high cost events like Pedal and Tunnel to Towers just has such big volume. But these are the top 5. Bend to the Shore is the big win from this year, brought over by ACS. That's a Philly bike event, which is great to see. The Tough Ruck Boston is an event that happens, I think it's the day before the Boston Marathon. And that is one of our top ones. And then Run 24.7 is a hybrid event. They do an event in the mall in New Jersey. And then they also have a virtual component with very high fundraising amounts. And then I pulled this from the top donation races report today, and we've had over 11,000 races that have accepted donations in 2025. So not all these are doing peer-to-peer fundraising, but I think we see that huge, tie between endurance events and supporting different nonprofits. And that really has helped us grow this overall volume over time because we just have so many places where those donations are coming from. And then we have both large and long tail opportunities in the peer-to-peer space. So over the past couple of years, we've seen like really big jumps in terms of our fundraising capability because we've brought on these very large customers like Tunnel to Towers and like Pedal. And that's very exciting because it puts us in a position to have these more sophisticated type of peer-to-peer conversations. And so I think that over not that long a period of time. I mean, it seemed very long, like being in it and building all these features and kind of winning and knocking out this list of features that we had to onboard these big events. But it just puts us in this position where I think we've become more well-respected with these top fundraising events and seen as a viable option for how they can make their events easier and smoother and actually raise more money. And then I think that we're also just getting these long tail opportunities because we have so much activity going on in the peer-to-peer space. And I'm going to go over some of the development features. But I think, the focus of Chris working with our existing customers and going after new customers for nonprofits. We've had a couple of really great marketing case studies this year come out. I think we're just increasingly putting it out there that we are the platform for fundraising events, and there's more and more nonprofits that are viewing us as that. They're viewing us as the way to make their events easier. Yes, they have their CRM and donor management platforms where they do that type of fundraising, but they need a purpose-built events platform, and I think we're just doing a really great job of taking advantage of the roll-ups that are happening, the need for nonprofits to find less expensive choices, nonprofits needing to make a change and just being top of mind. So we've had a really strong year in terms of peer-to-peer releases. We didn't have a major effort similar to the year before with Pedal the Cause, where we had, a large onboarding checklist, but we still came out with a lot of features. And some of these are kind of carried on from Pedal the Cause and onboarding them. But we rolled out Bring Back My Fundraiser at the individual and team level. Obviously, there were some issues with that rollout, just in terms of nonprofits not liking how that worked, but those got ironed out relatively quickly. And what this does is it gets us a really strong foundation to not just onboard these large events with the ability to import external IDs and match for historic data, but maintain that matching moving forward. And it's done in a very intuitive way for people to understand. And I think the combination of like claiming my fundraiser from imported data and bringing back my fundraiser as an individual and team are just very, very foundational features that let us go after these large peer-to-peer opportunities. Came out with the fundraiser milestone report, fundraiser milestone notifications, the self-serve management page, which you can see here, milestone notifications here, slideshow settings for fundraisers. So a peer-to-peer event can set a default slideshow, and then donor and fundraiser notifications when manual donations are added. And then we've also added a bunch more fields to the team fundraiser captain reports incrementally. And these are all like features that have been prioritized by this volume of donations that we're doing and the volume of peer-to-peer events that we're bringing over. And I think that a lot of these were tagged many, many times over the years. So it was really nice to get more of these features and functionality out this year. So looking ahead, the big one that we've talked about and that Darren, demoed some mock-ups of previously is the fundraiser email hub. So fundraiser email v2 coming to both the dashboard for fundraisers as well as the front end for fundraisers to send their own emails. Obviously, we need to be careful with this one. We've learned a lot of lessons about email and making that very available to people on the platform. But I think after going through those issues, we're in a much better place to offer this in a more secure way. And this is a big project that Jen's been working on. It's probably going to continue through the end of the year. So hopefully that'll come out early next year, end of the year. I think next year for peer-to-peer, our main focus is going to be maybe some smaller incremental features and squashing some bugs. One of the issues that we do have with fundraising is it's an older part of the code. And I think that as we look to 2026, it's not a priority to scratch all that and rewrite it. Like, I just don't think there's not enough of a business case to spend the development time doing that. And I think that our current plan, where we're going to be spending a lot of our development resources on AI and email, super lists, website V2, text marketing, volunteer V2, memberships and tickets makes sense. And all those things can really be positioned quite well for how we help nonprofits. Like, you think about each of these features and our AI tools becoming better at understanding fundraising data, and that being a feature for peer-to-peer fundraising events. So I don't look at it like, oh, we don't have any major development plan for peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer fundraising events are going to benefit from these investments that we're making across a lot of different core products over the next year. I do think that we want to redo fundraising at some point. We like having new code. We like making it easier to add more features to things. I think we're probably going to end up prioritizing, store V2, possibly coupons V2, questions V2. Fundraisers V2 is a project that's going to need both Joel and Steven's time to rewrite. And I think it's something we want to do. And I think one of the exciting things about not just having this long tail and being known as the events platform for fundraisers, but also having these big conversations with, events like PanMass Challenge, like very long-term opportunities. Those are the type of opportunities that will drive, when we do fundraising V2. And so, yeah, fundraising is just going to continue to be a very core part of our business. It's one of the key ways we're able to diversify our revenue today. It was obviously pretty important to us during COVID, and we saw a big bump in terms of the number of events using us for fundraising after that occurred, because we pivoted and offered them solutions. And I really do think as we come into the age of AI, we are much better positioned than these legacy platforms like Blackbaud, like Classy, to really help nonprofits come up with new and creative ways to engage their fundraisers and remain relevant and have the best technology possible for their events. So with that, Sean and Nancy are going to go through some examples, and Sean has a bunch of examples of these new features that came out.
So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Sean. I'm a senior account manager. I work with Alta Towers is kind of my dominant peer-to-peer customer, and I also work with ACS. So I have a lot of tabs up here, but I'll get through them pretty quick. It just kind of speaks to the the power of our peer-to-peer platform and kind of the flexibility to it. So this is just an example of a email marketing email that is helping to stimulate fundraisers and get them to view the milestones and rewards. So it's just a very easy, quick email that goes out and kind of displays what they get as they continue to fundraise. Here's an example of the individual milestones report. So it's a smaller event, but you can see here it's just the fundraiser and then as it's achieved, and this is downloadable, so easy access for the race directors to kind of get a quick glimpse of where people stand and how to remarket some of those emails if people are kind of on the fence for the next level. Here's the back end of milestones. So you can set them up for teams or individuals. These are set up for individuals. And you can see it's, amount raised and then a custom badge. And as those get reached, they also have the achieved emails enabled. So once that goal is hit, they get this email automatically. This is Pedal the Cause, and they're using this just to keep that drip campaign automatic and so that they don't have to continuously follow up on every single piece of fundraiser who's kind of on the fence or hitting benchmarks. You can see in this email, they do have like a link here. So with this level, they get tickets to this guest event. So they're already setting that up so that they don't have to always follow up, and it's an easy click for the person who gets that goal, and they can just keep going forward with the process. And they've got the code here for the discount. Here is the overachiever of Pedal the Cause. So they've raised $363,000. I'm not sure if all that is on our platform, but it's a very, very high number, and they still have not met their goal. But you can see here they've got kind of their custom message here. They've got the slideshow going so they can personalize everything.
Look at the lifetime donation level there.
Yeah, that's huge.
Crazy.
And then you can see the recognitions here, top fundraisers, and then some more navigation tools to kind of correlate them with the team. They can see that they've achieved 6 of the 7. I'm not sure where the last one is, but usually it shows as kind of a grayed out option. Here is the captain's report that Allison had mentioned and just some of the additions on there. This is great for big or small fundraisers, right? The bigger events have captain meetings and fundraiser meetings before events even open so they can get their team captains on board. So this is a great way to just pull that data and to see kind of where everybody stands and what they've raised and to get that quick contact information. This is an example of fundraiser emails. So Tunnel tries to empower their fundraisers. So all of these are emails that have been sent by fundraisers to their donor base. So it really empowers them to generate their own lists and use their own contacts. So you can see there's 6 pages of these, and some of them near the end are usually like, thank you for your donation emails. But they've really empowered kind of the base so that they don't have to continuously reach out, and it really expands that fundraising effort. And these are just going to be a couple examples of websites, and this speaks kind of the flexibility of the websites as well as like the needs of the causes. So every fundraiser, big or small, has different needs and different requirements. So this is Pedal. This is a very simple page. They don't want a whole lot on this page. They have another website that they use for other things, but and so it's pretty quick to just kind of generate this page and give a little bit of info. They do have this claim button, so when we import stuff into the system for people that are onboarding, they've imported people in, and if they don't have a RunSignup account, they can click that button, get in here, and quickly claim that account so that it gets them set up and gets them into the system. Here's another piece of just kind of the flexibility. This is different, right? After the event closed, they wanted to put just a quick message on top here to thank everybody and just keep the site live. So this wasn't here before, but now they're just kind of giving an overview. Here's another step up. So these next two actually are still using cover pages, and I am working on that to get them over to Websites V2. But it gives just an easy, quick navigation for what the customer wants, shows the highlights of the fundraising, and then shows the sponsors and a little bit additional information. If you ever need examples, you can just search in your Gmail peer-to-peer, and Chris puts out a monthly fantastic email with a lot of great examples. So this is one of them from ACS. And again, still cover pages, but a lot of great information and redirects for resources. And then to Eric's point, hopefully on the top 5 next year will be ACS they've started coming over. They've been on the system for 6 years now, and they've really started onboarding in this last year with a couple of rides, and we're working on a new Chicago event as well. But this is on Websites V2, and you can see kind of the difference. A little cleaner. It allows them the flexibility to add these additional resources, but still similar functionality.
Those are great. There's a lot of depth there and just a little bit of development work behind it.
Yeah, just a small subset of what the peer-to-peer platform does.
So this is an example. I just pulled up 3 examples that a lot of people may be familiar with because like Sean just said, Chris writes a great peer-to-peer recap every month. The Down Syndrome Walk is one that is very focused on teams. They take a lot of pride in their team formation and in their team affiliation. So you can see if you click into any of the teams, not only is there a write-up about the team, but they just take tremendous pride in being able to see all of the team members. This one has been, this is a good example of an awareness walk if you ever need one. Another example that I wanted to pull up, which is very fundraiser centered, is our Hoosiers Outrun Cancer event that just took place earlier this month. They start with their customizations by changing the word fundraiser to fundraiser. And with that, they have fundraising rewards that they use, that they have custom content to sort of highlight them, but they also use the milestones and the badges to do that. And I know next year they're really looking forward to having even better fundraising engagement by using those milestone notification emails. So they're thrilled about that feature. And this has been a really important feature for them. And then last and not least is Donna Marathon. This is a tremendous event, a tremendous organization. Their 2026 registration and fundraising is well underway. Last year, they overshot their donation goal of $200,000. They raised nearly $206,000 in donations alone during their marathon weekend. And this, you just can't ask for any better example. And I'm actually going to put this link in the chat. If anybody wants to see sort of the gold standard for a fundraising page, they just use every feature from the slideshow to the badges. They integrate with Facebook successfully, which is great. They have offline payment instructions. And so this is one of those fundraising sites similar to Tunnel to Towers and several others that Sean mentioned that make use of all of the features, all of the tools. They brand their marketing, they brand their fundraising pages. And I think a lot of that ultimately creates a great deal of success for their fundraisers. And it brings a lot of spirit and energy to the cause that they're looking to support.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for the update on these developments and the great success with peer-to-peer. It is a great segment category for us. And, you know, Allison showed the donation amount, but most of these events also have registration business. So the amount of business that is coming from our peer-to-peer customers is very significant to us and our success. Thanks a lot. Talk to you next week.
Now Joel here, one of our developers, has something he wants to say.
Like and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Hello, Internet. I'm here.
I should just have you record that for all the videos.